We're starting a new series titled UFOs, UAPs, and the Bible, Demonic Deception and the End Times. This is part one, the modern UFO UAP Phenomenon. First, the government disclosure and the setup. Get ready for the ride of your life. Objects screaming across the sky at 13,000 miles per hour. Executing impossible 90-degree turns without slowing down, and even dipping quickly into the ocean before shooting back up. What was once called an unidentified flying object has been rebranded as an unidentified aerial phenomenon. Why the name change? It sounds more clinical, less alarming, more palatable for the masses in an era of non-stop bombardment with images, videos, and eyewitness accounts from pilots and everyday people. We are seeing more of this today than ever before. Our own government has released previously classified photos and videos. Sightings are surging. One notable example comes from Commander David Fravor, a U.S. Navy F-18 pilot, whose dramatic 2004 Tic Tac encounter off of the California coast has been widely publicized. He and his team described a white oblong object that mirrored their movements, demonstrated incredible speed and agility, and showed no visible propulsion. In 2020 alone, thousands of global UFO UAP sightings were reported. The U.S. government's own preliminary assessment in June of 21 acknowledged the reality of these phenomena for the first time in a formal way. And what was their bottom line? They cannot explain many of them. So now we move from denial to a managed agenda. For decades, the official stance was denial or cover-up. Now there's a noticeable shift. Partial releases of files, public hearings, and admissions that some cases remain unresolved. Is this transparency or a carefully managed agenda? Astronomer J. Allen Hynek, who served as the U.S. Air Force top UFO consultant in the 1960s for Project Blue Book, eventually concluded that the program was more about secrecy than serious investigation. Aerospace engineer Dr. Robert Wood has documented claims of a hidden, unconstitutional group called Majestic 12, allegedly formed to handle extraterrestrial technology and crashes. This managed release of information appears designed to prepare the public. The question is, prepare us for what? Many believe it leads toward full disclosure, which could pave the way for greater global control, a one-world government structure. Now let's look at the Roswell incident and crash retrieval claims. No discussion of UFOs is complete without Roswell in 1947. According to reports, remains of a strange flying saucer and humanoid bodies were recovered. Here are key highlights from witnesses and analysts. Major Jesse Marcel, the Roswell Army Airfield Intelligence Officer, witnessed the debris and bodies firsthand. He described humanoid figures with 6 fingers. The material was allegedly moved to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Chris Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, has analyzed claims about the recovered metal, noting isotopes not found on Earth. Luis Elizondo, former head of the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, has stated publicly that the U.S. government possesses debris from various crash sites, sometimes labeled as potential adversarial foreign technology. Even more striking claims come from Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer, key figures in atomic development, being brought in to examine the Roswell remains. Reports suggest they found advanced technology, including an atomic engine, fiber optics, printed circuits, bladeless turbines, and lasers. Area 51 remains shrouded in secrecy for similar reasons. These stories persist because elements of them are hard to dismiss outright, even as official explanations such as weather balloons for Roswell have been offered for decades. Are we being set up? Folks, it is increasingly clear we are being prepared for some form of disclosure. The U.S. government has flipped from outright denial or ridicule to a controlled rollout of information. The deep state or shadow elements may be orchestrating this for larger purpose. What are we ultimately being told in the mainstream narrative? That these are visitors from outer space, advanced beings from another galaxy coming to save us, or at least observe us. This feeds into the ancient astronaut theory and the growing religion of ufology. But hold on. Before we accept the extraterrestrial explanation, we must ask deeper questions. Is this the full truth? Or is something far more ancient and spiritual at work? In part 2, we will turn to the Bible, the ultimate guidebook to the supernatural and hyperdimensional reality. We will examine what Scripture says about fiery chariots, glowing objects, and the real nature of the battle we face. You won't want to miss how ancient accounts parallel today's sightings. What do you think? Have you witnessed something unexplained in the skies? Share in the comments or visit journeytofutureevents.com. Use the chat bubble to ask questions. Stay discerning. The Bible warns us not to be deceived, 2 Corinthians 10 and Matthew 24. This is part 1 of a 3-part series, UFOs, UAPs, and the Bible, Demonic Deception in the End Times. God is still sovereign. Stay tuned for the biblical perspective.